share. Okay, that's us. Share. Alright, let's try. Okay, let's try share. We're just gonna do this share. Okay, that's working. And then we can go full screen. Okay, you're good.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. And can I start by also acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we meet and pay my respects to the elders, past and present, and also pay respects to all First Nations people who are in attendance today, always was, always will be Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander lands. I can also say that actually sharing a panel with Dr. Ian Lowe is such a privilege. His book, A Big Fix, was a Bible for me at university as a mature age student, learning about the impacts on the environment of unfettered economic growth and other issues. And it's an honour to be on a panel with him today. My name is Andrew from the ETU Queensland NT branch. I must say a massive congratulations to everyone here for this fantastic conference. It is wonderful to be among like-minded and passionate people. I've prepared a PowerPoint presentation which I'll try to loosely follow. It's hard to follow when Ian summed up my presentation in one line about Dutton's fallacy, but I'll do my best. First of all, what I'd like to do is to acknowledge the union's position, highlight the ETU's position. So I should be able to just enter here. Yep. As a union, the ETU has a long and proud history of opposition to the toxic, expensive and secretive nuclear industry. Our position has not changed in more than 70 years. The summary of our union's policy is as follows. We're opposed to the mining and export of uranium. We're opposed to the use of nuclear fuel. For power generation, we're opposed to the use of nuclear fuel for power to power any equipment or vessel. We're opposed to the provision of uranium enrichment facilities, the manufacturing of nuclear weapons, the erection of any nuclear power stations, and the importation of nuclear waste into Australia. Pretty comprehensive. And if I can indulge a little bit, I've got a couple of important messages from some of our leaders in our union. ETU's National Secretary Michael Wright, speaking on behalf of the National Union, along with some quotes from a recent newspaper article. First off, as a union representing workers in all energy industries, the ETU has a responsibility to speak out on energy issues. Our position is clear: nuclear power is not a solution to our energy needs. It's a waste of time, a waste of money, and it will kill jobs, all the while killing the current and future investments into renewable energy. Nuclear is 8 times the cost of electricity produced by renewables. Australia cannot waste time on nuclear. Dutton must abandon the radioactive pipe dream and instead commit to the delivery of just energy transition away from gas and coal that will provide secure, affordable power for all. Electricians will be delivering the energy transition and they need secure, safe and well-paid jobs to do it. Workers cannot afford to be left behind in this nuclear fantasy. And the nuclear fantasy will do just this. And also a quote from the Daily Telegraph from Michael. When I look at the next election, nuclear looms pretty large as something that jeopardises a lot of workers, Mr. Wright said. We'll be calling out the campaign on nuclear power and the false promise it gives to workers. We would be running that campaign ourselves. The nuclear thought bubble directly jeopardises existing jobs. That's true whether Labor or Liberals push nuclear. I would also like to play a video from a great friend of IPAN and a good mate of my boss, Mr. Peter Ong.
Comrades, Peter Ong, State Secretary of the Electrical Trades Union for Queensland Northern Territory. I just wanted to send you a short message. Apologies, I can't be there in person at your conference, but I just wanted to send a message of solidarity to the IPAN conference. Obviously, we've got quite a few challenges facing us in Australia at the moment, especially if we end up with a coalition Dutton-led government next year, which obviously we're hoping we won't, but if we do, we're certainly up against it with certainly Dutton's nuclear power policy. The ETU has been against nuclear energy in Australia for over 70 years now, since our members came back from World War II after seeing the atrocities of Hiroshima. We have had policies against nuclear proliferation in Australia ever since then, and we continue to fight against it. Dutton's plan of nuclear power stations is just a furphy. It's purely there as a distraction and trying to push back on our current energy plan and shift to renewable energy in Australia. It's dangerous, it's undermining, and we will do everything in our power as the ETU to push back against it. Nuclear energy, there's no need for it in Australia. We have vast resources in renewable energy with sun and wind. Add that with the firming capabilities of pumped hydro, and we have everything we need in Australia without putting in place a nuclear energy program which is unsafe and unneeded in our country. So guaranteed that you have the 100% support behind the ETU, and I know my comrades in other states and nationally are of the same opinion, and we will fight against any changes to the energy policy in Australia that we currently have and any push towards nuclear energy in this country. You can rest assured that the ETU will be behind any campaign to push back against it, and we will certainly be running our own campaigns alongside you guys and any other like-minded entities in Australia who are against nuclear energy in this country. So please keep up the good work, comrades, and I wish you all the best with your discussions over there at your IPAN conference over the next week.
And further to that, we also have a message of support from the New South Wales State Secretary and anti-nuclear campaigner Alan Hicks. And one of the photos here was at the Kembla May Day March last year, where Alan addressed the crowd. The ETU has remained resolutely opposed to nuclear power and nuclear weapons since World War II. Nuclear power is profoundly dangerous and the economics don't add up. It would be an insane path for Australia to take, given we have proven solar, wind, storage and battery technologies that can already harness cheap energy to power homes, businesses and manufacturing. What we've done as a union at a national level is also set up a website with some facts, and there's some fact sheets that I've distributed on the tables in front of you, and they come around those 5 key issues that we have. The website, and I'd like you to take it down if you can, is the nofuturefornuclear.org, and if you go on there, there's a lot of information and a lot of things that we can provide people out there in our sphere of influence to be able to make sure that they are educated. It's a waste of money, a waste of time, and jobs laid to waste. And what do we do about the radioactive waste? They're the 4 key things. There's also a fact sheet around the fallacy of SMRs, small modular reactors, which was the chosen one for Peter Dutton until the American prototype went bust. And then he decided that maybe we needed large ones instead. But thanks for that. As you can see and hear, our leaders take this issue very seriously for genuine and compelling reasons. But just as we seek to create a better, fairer life for our kids and grandkids, there are those that seek to make money no matter what it costs. They are aided and abetted by a fawning mainstream media and sycophantic politicians who are pushing their nuclear agenda. Like tobacco lobbyists and their ilk, proponents of nuclear power come from a base of tell a lie long enough and people will believe it. Hence the latest barrage of bullshit from the LNP, who for 10 long years navel-gazed among themselves regarding whether human-induced climate change was actually real. Who could forget the infamous former PM, Tony Abbott's quip, climate change is crap, or Morrison's coal, when he took it into the chamber, as a prop, or Barnaby Joyce, who observed that climate change must be fixed because it's bucketing down in regional New South Wales. Well, the party of climate sceptics and conspiracy theorists have now had an epiphany. Not only is climate change real, but the only way, I repeat, the only way that we can get to net zero by 2050 is through the development of a nuclear industry in Australia, using yet to be tested or completed ultra-expensive small modular reactors, or big ones, who knows. Like the second coming of Christ, nuclear will solve all our problems, they say. It will provide cheap power, they say. It's safe, they say. It's the only way to save the kiddies, who they ridicule and denigrate every time they raise their voices about climate change. Come back, Greta. Well, it's forgiven. We hear you. We're here to store the waste. Plenty of open land in the outback, so they say. Toxic nuclear is clean, they say. The facts are far more sobering. It's expensive, untested, unsafe, and a distraction from actually decarbonising the country. The next generation of small nuclear reactors being advocated by the LNP would raise electricity prices, slow the uptake of renewables, and introduce new risks from nuclear waste. In Queensland, we've been running some polling in relation to nuclear, and it's fair to say that the results are fairly mixed. One of the issues is around cost. So what we've done, in conjunction with our national office, is also come from the position of the power we can't afford. So the cost of living is consistently at the top of voter concerns as we go into state and federal elections. We know the LNP will pluck discredited figures from anywhere to say renewables push up power prices and nuclear will save people money. They are liars. The facts tell a different story. The average family would be between $670 and $1,000 per year worse off under nuclear, and that is a conservative estimate. The facts will set us free. But have a look at this though. So the CSIRO is also, there's so much information out there about what this nuclear madness would actually cost, what it means. All of the information is there. But as we know, the LNP and their media and industry lapdogs don't do science very well. They don't do facts. They live in a coal and gas-induced coma of money and influence. There is little emotional intelligence and even less moral reasoning when it comes to the LNP. They are hell-bent on derailing renewables, sweating coal-fired assets, accelerating gas and throwing billions of dollars at a nuclear power industry that will power less than 4% of the national grid. Why? Because they think and they believe that they can win the argument. They think Aussies are stupid. They think we are ripe for a misinformation campaign that will paint toxic nuclear as a clean energy saviour. All the while, the main game is over there, more coal, more gas, and a deep commitment to the US military machine. And if we disagree, then according to Little Proud, we'll do it anyway. The ETU facts offensive, as I said, there's no future for nuclear. As outlined, the Electrical Trades Union opposes all aspects of the nuclear energy cycle, except for nuclear medicine, due to the concerns about safety and cost. We also consider nuclear technology's impact on peace, ownership, oversight and transparency. When it comes to the impact of AUKUS and now the LNP's national power fantasy, the ETU position is being challenged. We have and will continue to stand up against the $368 million AUKUS sub-deal, and when it comes to the notion that nuclear power is the ultimate solution to decarbonising society, we call it bullshit. We believe the politicians and industry groups promoting nuclear power have ulterior motives, and instead we advocate for the acceleration of investments into renewable energy systems and a just transition for workers. Again, going through that, the 4 quick facts: waste of money, waste of time, jobs laid to waste, radioactive waste. The impact of our choices on the future of Australia. But what does this all mean for renewable investors and for workers now and into the future? Well, I'll tell you, coalition to impose a cap on renewable energy investments, the national leader says. So while we're advancing with renewable energy, they want to put a cap on that advancement. This is out there in plain sight for people to see. As Michael pointed out, the LNP's nuclear policy will suck investments from renewables and the impact it will have on the current workforce. And there are currently 81 renewable energy projects under construction or due to start construction soon. Many of these projects would be under direct threat from Dutton's policy. There will be an estimated I had to go back and actually have a look at these figures. 1.8 million people will be employed in the electricity components from engineering in renewable energy by 2030, and up to 2.2 million people employed indirectly or directly in that industry by 2050. Clean Energy Generation report. These jobs and livelihoods are under severe threat from Dutton's nuclear policy. In contrast, a 1 gigawatt nuclear reactor supports just 3,500 jobs in construction peak, with just 400 direct jobs once operating, which is on the best estimates. Let's take a look at the biggest issues that we've done that. There's a report that I'll show. Can I go just grab that? In just a couple of minutes and we've done a report as well, the ETU Nuclear Energy Report. The report blows up the myths about world investment in nuclear versus renewables. It highlights the negative impact it would have on the environment and traditional owners, and shows why, on all available evidence, the case for nuclear has become weaker rather than stronger. What does this have to do with peace? If we can just take a moment so there's the report, Global Renewable and Nuclear Energy Trends. So you can have a look. The blue line, by the way, is renewable energy. They must be thinking that's the nuclear energy investment, the LNP. I think this is a really important quote. Indigenous elder Auntie Janine Smith has vowed to fight plans to build a nuclear power plant on her country at Tarong Power Station, warning the development would be the death sentence for her connection to country. And I think this is where we see the impact that it will have. People and land will be displaced. As many speakers have pointed out during the conference, there is much uncertainty surrounding how the nuclearisation of Australia will unfold in today's climate. Asked why the coalition didn't seek to establish a nuclear energy industry while it was in government, Mr Dutton replied that it was because there was no hope until Labor threw its support behind AUKUS submarines. Under the opposition leader Anthony Albanese in 2021. Speaking in Sydney in late September, Mr Dutton said Labor gave up on any pretence of being concerned about safety when they signed up to AUKUS. It was a difficult debate before that, he said. Dutton went on to highlight, and this is really important, where he sees Australia's future. We're a natural home for data storage and for countries to look to us in the defence space, in health, in storage of personal data, Mr Dutton said. But it comes with enormous power usage. Yet another target on Australia's back. What data? What is meant by in this defence space? The LNP's vision for nuclear power involving untold, unbudgeted billions of dollars, large scale or small scale, combined with the war hawks on both sides of the political divide, eager to strengthen military alliances with the US and others, raises the alarming possibility that Australia could evolve into not just a civilian nuclear power, but also a US-controlled military nuclear state within our lifetime. This scenario deeply troubles me because I firmly believe we are merely stewards of this planet with a duty to leave a better condition than we found it. The link between small modular reactors, technology and the production of nuclear weapons was emphasised by French President Macron in 2019 when he discussed the costs of nuclear industry and future investments into SMRs. And he said, without civilian nuclear energy, there is no military use of this technology. And without military use, there is no civilian nuclear energy. In 2018, the Labor opposition reaffirmed its commitment to signing and ratifying the Nuclear Weapons Ban Treaty. A stance reiterated in 2021, but in 2024, it still has not been signed. The nuclear door created by Morrison with AUKUS, left ajar by Albanese and Miles, has been kicked in by the jackboots of Dutton. We have a fight on our hands. The IPAN had 10 years without an energy policy. Now they are a grotesque nuclear nightmare. They are looking to ram through whether states agree or not. They have no clue what it will cost. It's becoming increasingly clear that if we want a nuclear-free Australia, we cannot rely on any one political party or ideology. We must build a wide, robust and diverse movement to take on the might of the nuclear lobby and the military multinationals and their sycophantic political and media lapdogs. If we want peace and nuclear-free Australia, we're going to have to fight for it. We have a saying in the ETU, if you don't fight, you lose. And also organise, activate and retaliate. Thank you. And there's one more. There's an ad that we're running into Queensland, if it's here. I'm not sure it's here. Oh, here it is. This is a very soft launch, but it's bringing people to think about Dutton. Because, as I said, the polling is not strong. But what we want people to start considering is why.
The Smart Energy Council has costed Dutton's nuclear plant at $600 billion. Why would we pay that much to supply under 4% of the grid?
And the CSIRO says nuclear is way more expensive than renewables. So why would that help our power bills?
And battery storage capacity has outstripped all expectations. So why is reliability an issue anymore?
Nuclear plants use a lot more water than coal-fired power plants. Where's that water coming from?
Nuclear takes 30 years to be operational. We're already at 40% renewables after just 2 years, and we're on track to meet our target. Why would we need nuclear? Dutton's nuclear plant. Why?